Welcome to the Imperial Newsstand. I'm Alan Imperial. On today's show, March 18th, 2020, I'm going to be going over the coronavirus task force briefing, at least the first few minutes of it.
I would like to begin by announcing some important developments in our war against the Chinese virus.
I wish you
We
wouldn't call it
invoke
that.
the Defense Production Act just in case we need it. In other words, I think you all know what it is, and it can do a lot of good things if we need it, and we will have it all completed, signing it in just a little while, right after I'm finished with this
All right.
conference. I'll be signing it.
So it should
We're good
be
to go.
signed already
So we
at the
will
time of this
Defense
recording.
Production Act. Last week I signed an emergency declaration under the Stafford Act, which, as you know, we invoked previously, and which activated FEMA's National Response Coordination Center. FEMA now is fully engaged at the highest levels. Today, FEMA is activated in every region. We are at level one being the highest level,
All right.
which we will work with, and we've been working with FEMA. I've done a lot of work with FEMA. They're incredible. It's always been on hurricanes or tornadoes. They're right now in Tennessee. A large group working in Tennessee have been incredible. It was a tragic event. Alabama last year, also a tornado, and then obviously the numerous hurricanes in different locations that were, in some cases, very devastating, and in every case, FEMA came through. This is a very different kind of a work for FEMA, but they will come through, as they always do. Tremendous people, tremendous talent in FEMA. We're sending, upon request, the two hospital ships. They're being prepared right now. They're
Yeah.
massive ships.
We'll be going over that
And
later.
the big white ships with the Red Cross on the sides. One is called the Mercy and the other is called the Comfort. And they are in tip-top shape. They soon will be. They're getting ready to come up to New York. I spoke with Governor Cuomo about it. He's excited about it. And I also, we haven't made the final determination as to where it's going to go on the West Coast. The Comfort is located now in San Diego, and it's going to be, we'll be picking the destination fairly shortly. So those two ships are being prepared to go, and they can be launched over the next week or so, depending on need.
Drop below 20.
Earlier this week, the first clinical trial of the vaccine candidate for the virus began in Washington State, as you probably know. The genetic sequence of the virus was first published in January, but thanks to the unprecedented partnership between the FDA, NIH, and the private sector, we've reached human trials for the vaccine just 8 weeks later. That's a record by many, many months.
Super important.
To do this, and now we did it just in a very short while. That's the fastest development in history of what we're doing with regard to the vaccine. We're making very, very big progress.
Now, this is going to start. Oh, good, it didn't start. So,
Jason Biggs and Maggie Lawson are laugh out loud fun. There aren't many.
so we just watched the first part of the coronavirus task force briefing for today. And during this, Trump called himself a wartime president. And with the things we heard about, definitely seems that way. And unfortunately, every president that has been elected to the office while I've been adult has been a wartime president. So President Trump went over a lot of things. The first thing he went over was the Defense Production Act. Now, this is a law from the 1950s, started during the Korean War, and the CBS News tweet, I think, sums it up best. This allows the federal government to sign contracts or fulfill orders deemed necessary for national defense. In this case, emergency medical supplies. Now, normally, uh, for this to happen, the federal government has to do some bids, has to go through a whole, uh, I guess, bidding process, you call it. So that way there doesn't seem to be any type of nepotism or favoritism. And what this Defense Act does is allow the government just to buy whatever they need from whoever they need, right then and there without having to go through any red tape. And that's a good thing. Hopefully, this is again just a temporary action. The other thing that he went over is the fact that he talked about the Mercy. I have that pulled up somewhere. Here we go. He talked about the U.S. Naval Hospital ship Mercy. Pictured is the Comfort. Now, the Mercy is going to have about 1,000 beds. It's going to be moored uh, off of New York City, and it's actually not going to have any type of COVID-19 patients on board. And that's really important to note. The reason they're not going to have any uh, coronavirus patients is the fact that the ship is not handled to be an isolation ward. So, what they're planning on doing is have non COVID 19 patients on board and treated for whatever the case may be. Uh, and that's a good thing. We don't want to have people who, let's say, have a heart attack or appendicitis, and now they have to go to the hospital, and because of their medical conditions, they're saved of the reason they came in, but then they have a new problem, and this is good for everybody of New York because from what I've heard, New York has over 2,700 cases in the state, and we are the new epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic, at least in the United States. So I'm happy to get the federal support. Now, to continue on with the wartime mentality, Trump announces U.S. Canada closing border to non-essential traffic. Trump and Trudeau, their prime minister, our president, spoke and hashed out a deal where we're essentially closing the borders besides essential traffic. Again, this goes along the lines of this is a wartime mentality. This is a wartime effort where normal civil liberties are cast aside. One of these civil liberties is the free movement of people between borders, and we have a treaty, and I'm glad that the uh, the nations came together to close the border. We want to contain and isolate this to as few people as possible, and we don't want to end up uh, like certain parts of Europe where they had to close down the entire country. So this is a good thing. I know that we've been talking about doing the same with Mexico actually leading the charge on this, wanting to close their borders to us, and that's a good thing, honestly. All non-essential traffic should be closed. Uh, is it a sad thing? Yeah, it is. But I have a friend right now who's stuck in Peru because he was there visiting and now he can't get out. He already spoke to the U.S. Embassy and there's really nothing they could do. So a lot of countries are taking this seriously, and this is a further brick in that wall of seriousness. Now, President Trump talked about the first clinical trial happening, and that happened in Washington State. I'm not going to go over the entire article, but this is from Business Insider by Andrew Dunn, and this was written 2 days ago. But the way that this trial is working is that 45 healthy patients are getting the vaccine to see if it actually works. And if it works, then in about a year to 18 months, it could hit the public for safe consumption. Because heaven forbid, what happens if the medicine is worse than the disease? And that's what these brave people, whether the doctors or the patients, uh, that's what they're doing right now, is making sure that we have a way to fight this novel virus because as of this moment in time, this is it. We don't have anything else in the United States. I know there are other clinical trials, but let's focus on what is here in America. I know, selfish. Now, the last thing our president said was that FEMA was at level one. And I don't know what that means, so I just went to FEMA's website and it says level one, activation level one. Due to its severity, size, location, actual or potential impact on public health, welfare, and infrastructure, the incident requires an extreme amount of direct federal assistance for response and recovery efforts for which the capabilities to support do not exist at any level of government. So the staffing guidelines is full staffing, all emergency support function, and integration liaisons. Everybody's on board. Everybody's doing what they can, and it looks like, hmm. And this is day 3 of the 15-day Slow the Spread campaign by the coronavirus task force. Here's to hoping that this works. I'm Alan Imperial, signing out.